Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is holding life with open hand. We tend to want to hold on to the goodness in life, and it's easy to suffocate things that way, right? That holding can turn into grasping and clinging, and it serves to keep us from actually being able to receive the richness of life. So that'll be our conversation today. It should be fun. Good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. So good to have you joining us this morning, and welcome to everybody else who's with us. Before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, energizing all your cells, all your organs, bringing light and vitality to every molecule, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop. And allow all that sensation to bring you present, right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So today we're talking about holding life with the open hand. I was talking to a client yesterday about that they wanted to know how to hold on to the feeling of joy and blissfulness. And it was an interesting conversation because if you look at it on the surface, who wouldn't want to hold on to an experience of joy and bliss, right? The thing is, if we look at the truth of life, nothing is permanent. The only thing that's constant is change. And so when we have an emotion, particularly, that emotion doesn't stay. It's like, how long can you put your attention on one thing in an unwavering way? Not very long, probably, right? And so when we talk about wanting to hold on to this experience, hold on to this good feeling, what happens is that in the very act of holding on, we can be squashing. It's like if you have a bird, if you're holding a bird in your hands and you're holding on and holding on, the likelihood is that you're going to suffocate and kill that bird. And that's what happens with our clinging, our grasping to try to make something persist. Because things come and go, things change in waves, and our emotions also come and go. We may be angry, but how long can we sustain that anger? You have to actually work at sustaining that anger by telling ourselves all kinds of stories to incite that anger and keep it burning, right? And then there will be moments where our attention is taken elsewhere and the anger isn't there. And so we can then go back and recreate it. And we tend to go back and recreate it. The same thing with depression or resentment or even joy. We can go back and create and recreate that joy again and again. In fact, that's really kind of the discipline of meditation. The whole practice of meditation is to focus your attention. And then as you notice that your attention has wandered, to bring your attention back. And this idea of trying to harness it, to grasp it, to hold it, to constrain it, restrict it, it ends up being something that has the exact opposite effect. Rather than prolonging our experience, it tends to stifle the very experience that we're trying to achieve. And so it may seem ironic, but it's kind of that goes back to that saying, if you love something, let it go. And if it comes back, it's yours. In other words, so what we're talking about here is holding life with the open hand, to hold the bird with open hand so that it can breathe. And it may fly away. And then if it flies away, it may come back. And what it means to hold life with open hand is to allow for life to go through its shifts and changes, to allow for our situation to evolve, to be adaptable, to allow for a fluidity of life and of our own expression. And in that allowance, there's tremendous grace that life bestows upon us as we allow things to unfold. Particularly, and this is an ongoing exercise for me anyway, an ongoing exploration and practice to and discovery, to be living into the space of life is happening for me and through me rather than to me. And so circumstances occur and they may not be what I had hoped for or planned for. And yet, rather than trying to anticipate how things are going to play out, other than being able to make the necessary, there's certain preparations that we have to make to accommodate different conditions, certainly. But when we can essentially be willing to dance with the unknown, that's really what this idea of holding life with an open hand is about, is to be able to dance with the unknown. So circumstances present themselves and there's this domino of consequences of an action or of a circumstance, and those dominoes could be pointing in different directions. There's any number of different ways that those dominoes could play out. And while we can put some attention on, well, what do I do in these different scenarios with these different eventualities, maybe it's something that we can take care, make our provisions, and then let go. So for me, this is a very specific circumstance, and I can give an example. So I have been planning on going to a retreat for since, well, I registered in February, but it's been an intention for several years. And I put a deposit, and I have hotel reservations, and there are certain time frames to be able to modify the hotel reservations. And something arose that may make those plans moot, may require that I cancel. And in the past, I would have been having all kinds of angst over this. And I would have been having all kinds of upset around potentially needing to cancel my participation in this event. And what I'm noticing is a deliberate and intentional choice to trust that life is unfolding for me and through me, that life is happening for me and through me rather than to me. This is holding life with open hand. It's like, okay, well, we'll see what unfolds. And whatever unfolds is for me. And what I can say about this, and I'm sure you have examples in your own life that you can look at where either you resisted the way that things were unfolding because you wanted them so badly to be differently, to unfold differently, rather. What I'm noticing is that there's a much greater ease, there's a much greater ability to be present with this context of life is happening for me and through me. Like, it may not be the way I wanted it to unfold, and I'm trusting that it's good. It might not look the way I want it to look, but when we allow ourselves to step into that space of trust for life and the wisdom of life itself, there's a much greater sense of peace and ease. And I invite you to look at something that in your life you might be creating all this resistance around. Because the circumstances are the way they are. The choices that are available to you are the choices that are available to you. And it's in the struggles that we create for ourselves. I want things to be different. Things should be different. It shouldn't be this way. I shouldn't have to make this choice. And that may or may not be true. Yeah, it would be nice to not have to make that choice, whatever it is, for example. But it is what it is. And when we can what we're talking about really here is presence. Giving ourselves the gift of presence and the gift of trusting life. What I find in my experience as I deepen into this practice, and it takes practice because it's not the convention, but it doesn't, by the way, mean that we don't take initiative or that we don't actively engage with life and that we don't express wants and desires and intentions and all that. It doesn't mean that at all. And we can operate without having to be swimming up river against the rapids, right? We can allow that, hey, I can let the flow of life move me as well. And there is a sense of ease that we can experience when we really allow life to unfold without all that resistance. Because the resistance, it's interesting, as I'm getting more present in my life, what I notice is that I'm more sensitive to energy. I'm more sensitive to resistance. I'm more sensitive to overwhelm even. I'm more sensitive to other energies. And that's not to say that that's a bad thing in any way. What I get to do is be more conscious, and we all get to be more conscious about moderating our own energies, about taking care of our own energy field. And maybe it needs strengthening. Maybe we need to be even more centered. Maybe we need to cultivate that inner core, energetic core. Um, but part of this sensitivity that so many of us have is what allows us to dance better with life. The more that we become in tune with the currents and its ebbs and flows of life, the greater ease we can experience as well. And so when I'm struggling, I can notice it better than I used to, because before it used to be always push through. It doesn't matter what you feel. It doesn't matter what's going on. You just do what you need to do and push through it. And that's a recipe for disaster in the long run for any of us that have been doing addicts, right? That the doing is the most important thing to getting all the stuff done. You could stand back on a macro, all the way back, and have a look and notice that all this stuff that we're creating suffering and angst around for ourselves in a year from now, in 5 years from now, in 20 years from now, isn't going to make a bit of difference. And so is it the doing that's really the most important? Not to say that there aren't things that need to be done. There are. But how about the being that we are in the process of that doing? And I contend, another hypothesis that I'm living into, trying it out, is that it's the being that's really the essential and important thing. So if this beingness is important, what is it? It's the quality of presence that we bring to life. Are we actually present in our lives? Are we actually living our lives, or are we doing our lives? Because I myself have experienced, and also have many clients who have experienced a tendency, or maybe even a decision, to go numb in order to accomplish certain things, in order to get through it. I spent a good portion of my life just trying to get through it. And I know I'm not alone in that. And the thing is that when we are just trying to get through it, we're missing a big part of our lives. We're not present to life and to the flow of life and to the gifts that life has to offer us. So, open hand to hold life gently. Like you would hold a baby bird. You'd cradle it rather than squash it or clench it or grip it, right? You would cradle it. And what if we do that with ourselves in terms of allowing ourselves to be cradled by life itself, by allowing life to be unfolding for us and through us, and not to resist it. Yes, there are going to be things that happen that are painful, devastating. There are going to be things that happen that are frustrating, infuriating, unjust, unfair. And we can still find a pathway through those moments where we're actually present to life. Whatever the pain, we can still allow that life is happening for us and through us. And when we allow that, what happens is it shifts our experience of whatever that pain is. Maybe it allows us to just experience the pain instead of resist it. And the thing is that it changes, right? Even if we started out talking about holding on to an emotion or holding on to a good experience, for example. But the thing is, it's going to change. Everything is going to change. And the more we can dance with that change, the more grace we can allow ourselves with that change and that flow, the more that flow supports us. It's kind of, so this is, Rosalind says, what comes to mind is a loved one with dementia. Yeah, that's such a toughie. So there's an opportunity to be able to be present from a heart space with someone, even when the mind isn't coherent anymore. The heart can connect, and we can be denying the dementia. We can be in reaction against it. We can be in a fight about it's so unfair and so sad. And we're making all these stories about how awful it is. And that those stories can keep us from being able to connect with that person. Maybe we'll avoid them, or maybe we'll try to get them to be different. And what if we can not resist it, if we can be present, then there may be tremendous sweetness available for us there. And we may be able to give tremendous sweetness and support that is communicated, that's communicated beyond reason, beyond thought. So when we're present, when we're truly present, very different opportunities and possibilities arise than when We are creating all these stories about what's going on. We can be responsive. That's the idea, is that when we're present, when we're in the flow, when we hold life with open hand instead of clenching or grasping or clinging or resisting, then we're able to be more responsive to the demands of the moment. So that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to please like, follow, and share me and Enlightened World Network. The links are in the description. And as always, it is a tremendous pleasure and privilege to have the opportunity to share these morning musings on the nature of being human. Good morning, Dido. So good to have you here with us this morning, and so much love. Until next time.